So let me tell you about my day on Sunday. I've actually been helping some friends of mine who have a church called Radiant Church, and it's on Highway 2081 in McDonough, Georgia. If you don't have a home church and you'd like a place to check it out, I promise you won't be disappointed. It's a great place, and I've had the benefit or been blessed to be able to sing on the worship team of late and just help out a little bit musically. Very small part of the music, but I am enjoying every minute of it, and I have met so many musicians and singers. And anyway, I started out my day singing there at Radiant, and we usually sing a few songs of worship. And it's funny, if you watch me, when I first start out, I think I'm kind of nervous, and it takes me a minute to warm up. But as we were singing this past Sunday, we sang a song, and you know, you could feel the presence of God. Always I pray to be able to feel His presence, and as I'm worshiping, and that other people in the audience that are there, that they too will feel God's presence. But as we sang this past Sunday, as the song service went on, by the last song, you could tell that there was such a strong presence of God in that sanctuary. And I really wanted to come home and do a video that day. And of course, went to a couple of other things that day. I didn't get home till late that night. But I couldn't wait to talk about what God showed me that day. He made me realize that so many times we become desensitized in the world with all the noise and distraction. For example, the plane that just went by. We get so distracted, or maybe we become so used to noise that we don't really recognize some things that really matter. And I've noticed that in my own life of late. I've noticed that as I slow down, I hear God's voice more easily. And no, it's not an audible voice, but it's a confidence, and it's a sense of awareness that I haven't always had. And I think doing this vlog has taught me that, if I'm going to be sharing with you, I have to have time with God to know what He wants me to share with you, because I'll be honest, I have no desire just to sit and talk and say a bunch of words that mean absolutely nothing to you. What I want to say to you, I want it to impact your life. I want it to give you hope, and I want it to draw you closer to Christ, so you can see the difference He can make in your life. As I look back over the growth that I've had in the last 6 or 7 years, I would have never said that I would even do anything like this. And it may not be a big deal to most people, but for me, I've never liked being in the limelight, or, being the center of attention. It makes me uncomfortable. But God has a sense of humor, so He gives me the gift of music and singing, and which requires you to get out in front of people. And He put me in a marketing position, which requires you to get in front of people again. And so He has a plan. And here I am today, just elated to be here talking to you. Talking about being desensitized in this world. I met somebody once that told me that she dealt with anxiety and depression. And I too have experienced that, so I know what it's like. She told me something interesting that I found to be interesting, and that was that she liked being in the darkness. I asked her, why did she want to stay so reclusive into herself, because that just leads to more darkness. And she told me, she said, I'm comfortable there. I like, it's almost like she found herself being comfortable in the darkness. And I thought to myself, that's so bizarre to me, but it's because I have experienced the light of Christ. I've experienced Christ in my life, so I know the difference between darkness and light. You know, maybe if that's all you know, then you'll accept that as the norm, or you'll accept that as a way of living. But you know what? When you meet Christ, when you allow His presence into your heart and into your life, there's a freedom that comes with that. I think of a scripture, 2 Corinthians 3:17 and 18. It says, "Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom. And we who with unveiled faces all reflect the Lord's glory are being transformed into His image with ever increasing glory." And that comes from the Lord. You know, the more you expose yourself to light, the brighter your life's going to become, the happier you're going to be, the more joy you're going to have. And I can't wait to tell you more about my journey and what God has done in my life. It's amazing. And I get almost giddy when I think about it. And sometimes I get teary-eyed, because if you had known me before and you had known the fear that I dealt with, and the anxiety and those things that I battled, you would not recognize me as the same person. And probably a lot of my friends and people that knew me years ago, I hope that you see the difference. But I wanted to say, I know I'm rambling a lot, but what I want to say is God's presence is real, and it makes a difference if you allow it to. And I want to encourage you to listen for His voice. Find a quiet time or a worship time where you can just get alone by yourself and you can hear His voice. Because when it's noisy outside, when there's a lot going on all the time, when there's constant text messages, voicemails, emails, I mean, we can get inundated with these things. And God has something for us. We just have to stop long enough to hear it. We have to just stop long enough to just be in solitude, to sense His presence, because it's very real. It's not just something that's not tangible, because it is tangible. But you have to allow yourself to feel it. You have to stop long enough to recognize it. And that's my word for the week is, if you want to change your life and you want to feel something different in your life, if you want to have joy and a purpose, a sense of purpose, then take a few minutes every day. It doesn't have to be 15 minutes. It could be 5 minutes. Maybe you're so busy all the time that you can't stop, that you don't even know what to do with yourself when you stop. Start out with 5 minutes. Start out with 3 minutes. And I promise you, just that sacrifice of your time, you're going to see that you're going to begin to hear God's voice. And I can't wait to be a part of that in your life. I can't wait to be able to hear you tell me the changes that you're seeing, and the differences that you are recognizing in your life. Do this for me. Take this time in the next week. I know I'm challenging you to do some different things, but take some time and just in solitude, and let me know what you find. God bless. Have a great week, and I cannot wait until I come back and talk to you again. Thanks.